Today we're talking about the day-to-day manifestations of anxiety in a physical sense, and then we're also talking about the physical side effects that come from medications that we might take to treat our mental illness. I'm going to be focusing on my lived experience in this video, and I will also have sources about some of these things linked in the description box below for further reading. So the beautiful thing about mental illness is they have symptoms, and they can have many symptoms and debilitating symptoms, making it, disorder and illness. These symptoms negatively impact our day-to-day lives. And so we try to manage those symptoms as best as we can through different forms of treatment and through lifestyle changes and coping skills. One form of treatment that some people choose is to take medications. Taking medications for our mental illness can help alleviate some of the negative symptoms that we're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. The problem is the medication itself can come with side effects, potentially leaving us with even more things to manage than the help that it's giving us. Even more is the medication for the thing that you're trying to treat can actually make the thing you're trying to treat worse. For example, a potential side effect of an antidepressant is actually becoming more depressed. And that's just something we love. We love that about all of that. Some of these things are symptoms of the mental illness themselves. Some of these things are side effects of the medication you may take to treat something. And then some of them happen to be both, which is so cool. Before I get started, a couple things. Number one, I'm kind of exaggerating, but also not when I say that pretty much everything's a side effect, like back pain, side pain, nausea, dry mouth, vomiting, diarrhea, weakness. Everything's a side effect. Second is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician, I'm not a mental health clinical professional, if that makes sense. I do work in mental health, and I do spend a lot of my time researching and learning about mental illness and sharing about it online. However, that does not make me an expert, but it does make me want to share my story and my lived experience, so that is why I'm here on the internet. Let's start by talking about excessive sweating. So I've found ever since high school that deodorant, or rather antiperspirant, right, which is the ingredients that stop the sweating versus give you a nice odor, doesn't work for me. And I remember having this problem in school, and I remember having this problem, now in my jobs. And I work 9 to 5, and I work a very sedentary job. There's not a lot of exercise happening, but I sweat excessively to the point where I have to change my shirts in the middle of the day. I had to choose to change in my day, to go home at lunch, to change. I have to wear, I always have to make sure I'm wearing some sort of cardigan or blazer so that my armpits are always covered, and it's excessive underarm sweating is what it is for me. And I can feel it right now, it's very warm. However, I've come a long way in this, so I want to share a couple of the things that I've learned. First of all, if you are a sweaty person, you're embarrassed about it, know that you're not alone. I am too. Even the most prescription strength deodorants and things that are marketed as the best, like Lumi, that stuff does not work. I don't know what people are talking about. It does not work for me. You're welcome to try it, obviously. If you forced me to come up with some tips and some advice for you, if you're struggling with this too, or you're just wondering what kind of worked for me to get it to a more manageable place, which is where it is now, it's definitely more manageable now, is these following things. Number one is to blot your underarms in the bathroom. Whenever you go to the bathroom, just get that excess moisture off, and to hopefully keep it from soaking as much onto your fabric. You can also kind of blot the fabric of the shirt. Next thing is, don't be afraid to reapply deodorant. I don't know why I thought that this was a one and done type of thing, but have it with you. Do it at your desk. Literally, no one cares. Bring extra tops or changes of clothes, either in your car, in your bag, or leave them at work or something. If for any reason you need to change your shirt or feel the need to change your shirt, make sure you're using antibacterial body wash in the shower for your underarms, and not just Bath and Body Works smelling good soap, because that's not gonna reduce the bacteria or help treat the bacteria. I've gone back and forth on this, but this one is shaving your armpits. A smooth surface underneath your arms will allow the deodorant to sit better, and then also there's less surface area for sweat to cling onto. However, I feel that would be more of an odor thing, and I'm more on the truly just wetness side. I have nothing to say about aluminum to you all. I am very conscious that every time I'm applying my deodorant or applying this prescription thing I have, which I'll talk about in a second, that aluminum is very, very bad for me. I'm very aware of that. I have nothing to say on it. I told my doctor, hey, look, I have excessive sweating, and I know there's a term for this, and I have it. I have tried everything, and list some of the things that you've tried. see what they say, because my doctor gave me this solution, and it's not a deodorant. It is a like solution, like kind of like a skincare product, but for your underarms. And I'm thinking it is just like chocked full with chemicals, because it probably is. But I felt like I didn't have to use it for long before it actually, things started to get better over time, and I actually don't really use it anymore, although I still have it. But it's basically, it's called dry cell, and you just blot it on your underarms. Now you got to be careful. Don't do it when there's anything else on your skin. Don't do it when your skin is wet. You could get like really, really itchy. And then finally, I do want to address this, like your job or school or the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, pay attention to those versus things you're doing, say, on the weekends or on a day when you're not working. See if that makes a difference in your sweating. Because a lot of the times, pretty much all the time, my sweating was connected to my job, which I was straight up not having a good time in. So that was also part of it. And then I didn't sweat as much otherwise. So it's kind of a stress and anxiety thing as well. The next thing I have is excessive startling and jumpiness. I have a serious problem. I don't know how to communicate this over video. I have spilled on people's blazers at work and stained them. I have spilled scalding tea on my hand because I was being jumpy. I will jump out of my skin and throw something if my boyfriend coughs next to me. Like, it's a serious problem. And to be honest, this one's not very under control yet. I'm still learning for this one. A couple things though, identifying patterns can be helpful. So if you do seem to have, I don't know, a cup in your hand or something, and that seems to happen more than once, like, use a travel mug, put a lid on it, reduce the damage, reduce the harm and the damage. Second thing, tell others not to sneak up on you, behind you, tell them to be careful around corners, tell them it's not them that's scary, but it's just you're a very jumpy person. That all can help. And then also probably stress management and relaxation techniques, but I'm not quite there yet to the point where I can recommend, to the point where I can say I do these consistently and they help me. Next I have is tired all the time and drowsiness and low energy. And sometimes being tired all the time and low energy aren't exactly the same thing, but for the purposes of this video, I'm calling them the same thing. I really am tired all the time and I get a lot of sleep. Being tired is a symptom of anxiety for sure, but also of medications that I take. So it's really fun. And it's a symptom of anxiety because you spend so much time in your brain. Your brain spends so much energy worrying and thinking things through over and over and over again that it truly, like, it's tiring to be awake and it needs just so much rest. What I do is, and what I recommend is, really make sure that you're getting enough sleep consistently. Now, you might say, oh yeah, I get like 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours every single night. Okay, but try to up that and see if that helps at all. Now, if you do know that you are truly getting enough sleep, as much sleep as you need every single night, like 9 hours, maybe it is 6 hours for you, and you're doing that consistently and you're still tired all the time, then you can use that to your psychological advantage. So for me, I know that I try to get up around like 6, and if I'm not feeling it and I want to stay in bed, I'll be like, I'm going to be tired if I get up right now, and I'm going to be tired if I keep sleeping for an hour and then get up. I'm going to be tired either way, so I might as well get up and do what I said I was going to do. A little bit of tough love in there. Yawning is a side effect of fluoxetine, I have found, that affects me a lot, and it doesn't necessarily correlate to my tiredness necessarily. I'm very, very self-conscious about my yawning because it happens at work a lot. Well, it just happens everywhere a lot. And yawning, weirdly, has a negative connotation to it. Like, pretty much all times, unless you're like at your house and with like your loved one that you're out at your house who aren't gonna think anything of it. So I'm like, okay, is this worth addressing to people at my work? Do they think I'm not doing well? Or do they think I'm being rude or something? Do I have to address that? And then I'm like, okay, well, should I just get a t-shirt that says like, I yawn due to Prozac? Prozac-induced yawning awareness month. Should I just do that? Something like that. Peeing a lot, I don't have much to say on that, but it's true. And it actually is linked to anxiety, and there's like stuff with your muscles and bladder that actually, like, it's all connected. GI problems and indigestion are side effects of antidepressants, including, for me, fluoxetine. And this underscores the mind-gut connection that I feel like a few years ago, or in the past few years, has been like, it's been a hot topic. And I don't think there's like as much research as we want out there about this, but we're definitely seeing that there's a connection. This can be helpful because helping your gut health then can help your mind health. One thing to do is to learn about what kinds of things trigger your bloating or your indigestion or appetite issues. One of the things for me that does not help is not walking enough, and then also drinking like carbonated drinks. The next thing I'm going to talk about is weight gain. This is a hard topic to talk about, I think, for a lot of people, but I'm just going to go over it because I think it needs to be mentioned. Weight gain is a pretty common side effect of certain SSRI antidepressants. Your doctor might disclose that, they might not disclose that. If that's something you're really concerned about, you need to make sure to tell your doctor that so that they can work to maybe not choose the ones that are more likely to create weight gain. So as much as I want to be body neutral, my body image and how I feel about my body impacts my mental health. That's why it is important to talk about weight gain when it comes to it being a side effect of a medication. Also, the weight gain could be happening from just your lifestyle changes with the illness itself. So for me, I was realizing, I read somewhere that weight gain for the medication I was taking could start 2 to 3 years after you start taking it. So it could take a while. And I felt like this kind of happened for me because there was a stretch, it was about like 2022, and I gained 12 pounds in 12 months, which was a lot of weight gain for me as to what my body weight was at the time. So I did try to taper the medication that I was using after realizing that. However, it didn't work. I do have a video on that. It wasn't working for me. It's okay to care about your weight. It's okay to care about how you look. That doesn't make you anti things that you might be pro, that you might be for. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is an antipsychotic drug called Lamictal or lamotrigine. Lamictal is notorious for some pretty intense side effects, one of them being a full body rash. This I experienced. I have an entire video on this. It is the #1 most popular video on my entire channel. I will link that down below, although maybe you've already seen it, it's so popular on this channel. That happened, and so that's why I just wanted to say that like most of this video is talking about somewhat manageable side effects. Some are not going to be that. Some are going to be severe allergic reaction, severe rash, life-threatening, and that's different than managing, feeling a little tired in the mornings. So thanks for sticking with me for this video, talking a little bit about the physical ramifications or results of things related to our mental health. We know the two are connected, but here's even more evidence. I hope this gave you some maybe tips and tricks to think about if you are experiencing any of these as well. But I'll see you in my next video. Happy 2025. Bye.